Have you ever heard of Moldova? It's a small, landlocked country tucked between Romania and Ukraine, often considered one of the poorest nations in Europe. In a remote village in the north, where winter clamps down with an iron fist, there is a tiny house. A house where the water in the pipes freezes solid, where every exhaled breath instantly turns into a plume of white vapor. This is the story of Anna, a young woman who lived in that house, and the day she came home with her first paycheck from an American company. On the worn, wooden table sat a plain white envelope. Her mother, Elena, picked it up, her movements casual until the moment she slid the contents out. Her callous fingers, so used to hard labor, suddenly froze. She counted the zeros. 1, 2, 3. $3,500. Anna, she whispered, her voice raspy with disbelief. Is this truly your salary? For a family whose monthly income barely scraped $200, a family that sometimes ate by candlelight because they couldn't afford to pay the electric bill, this sum was like something from a dream. It was more money than they had ever seen in their lives. It was the salary her daughter had earned through lonely hours of studying English, a pursuit no one in their village had understood. For a long moment, Elena was silent, her hand clutching the envelope so tightly the paper crinkled. Then, without a word, she rose and pulled her daughter into a fierce, silent embrace. Why did this young woman choose to learn English? And how did that one choice change the destiny of her family forever? Take a few moments and listen to this story. In that snowbound village in northern Moldova, the world seemed to shrink in winter. Even the presence of people felt thin, scattered. Mornings began with intricate frost flowers blooming on the inside of the window panes. The only source of warmth in their small house was the wood-burning stove, its hungry flames a small rebellion against the biting cold. Anna was born into this little house, into this world of white silence. In the winter of her 10th year, the very air inside their home changed. Her father, a thin, gentle man, was confined to his bed, his body racked by a persistent cough and a fever that wouldn't break. Her mother's lips trembled as she spoke, the words a painful admission. "I'm sorry," she whispered, not looking at Anna. "We can't even afford medicine." Anna squeezed her father's frail hand where it lay atop the thin blanket. She forced a smile, trying to inject some light into the dim, cold room. "Papa," she said softly, "in the spring, we'll go to the forest together. You promise me." Her father's eyelids fluttered open, but he no longer had the strength to reply. Late that night, as the fire in the stove dwindled to embers and a deep chill settled over the house, her father's breathing simply stopped. It was as quiet and final as a candle flame being extinguished. "Papa," she called out, her voice small. "Papa, can you hear me?" She could call, she could cry, but nothing came back. Her mother, however, did not weep. She carefully straightened the worn quilt, gently pulling it over her husband's face. Her voice was low and steady. "Crying comes later," she said. "Now we think about how to live." On the walk home from this simple funeral, the only sound was the crunch of their boots on the packed snow. Her mother's voice cut through the silence. "Anna, you can't be a child anymore. From today, it's the two of us. We protect this house together." The days that followed were a relentless series of hardships. Elena found work at a nearby farm, her body aching from the cold and the labor. When Anna turned 15, she left school and began washing dishes in a small diner in the nearest town. The winter water was like ice, stinging her hands, causing her fingertips to crack and bleed. An older coworker, Sophia, noticed the raw, red skin. "Doesn't that hurt, child?" she asked with concern. Anna would just smile and shake her head. "It hurts, but if I stop, the cold hurts even more." Her salary was $200 a month. On nights when the power was out, they would light a single candle and eat their thin soup in its flickering glow. Elena would sometimes whisper into the darkness, a question aimed at no one and everyone. Why did God have to take him? Anna would clench her hands in her lap, her voice quiet but firm in the small room. I will protect you in his place. I'll protect you, Mama, and I'll protect this house. She did not cry. Her words were like a tiny, determined flame flickering in the cold night. After finishing her shift, Anna would wrap a corner of her scarf around her split fingertips and walk home. One evening, she pushed open the door to find her mother staring into the stove. The fire had burned low, and the air in the room was so cold their breath hung in front of them. They sent us home after only half a day at the farm, Elena said, hugging her knees. They said they can't afford to keep so many people on. The days of working as much as you could to earn what you needed are long gone. Anna nodded silently and switched on their old, boxy television. Through a screen of flickering static, unfamiliar colors and lights emerged. It was an American television series. A little boy ran into his mother's arms, shouting, "Welcome home." The mother's voice that answered was gentle and warm. Anna didn't understand the words, but something in their cadence, their sound, resonated deep within her chest. It felt warm. "I like those words," Anna murmured, almost to herself. For some reason, they don't feel cold at all. Her mother slowly looked up, her expression tired. "Anna, what's the use in learning English? It's a language that can't buy us bread or kerosene. What meaning does it have here?" "I know," but Anna clasped her hands tightly in her lap, as if searching for the right words. She took a deep breath. "I know we can't leave this village. We don't have money for passports. We can't even afford the bus fare to town most days. But I'm scared, Mama. I'm scared of living my whole life here, knowing nothing else." Elena fell silent, as if the words had been stolen from her. She tightened her grip on the rough fabric of her trousers. "You can live without seeing the outside world." "We can survive, yes," Anna replied, her voice gaining a quiet strength. "But to live without knowing anything, it feels like just breathing. It hurts." After a long silence, her mother spoke again, her voice soft. "Anna, you are becoming more like your father. Stubborn. Unwilling to give up. Nothing anyone says will stop you." A few days later, a retired teacher from the village school came to their house carrying an old laptop. "I found this in my storeroom," he said. "The screen is cracked and I don't know when it will finally die, but use it while you can." Anna took it with both hands, bowing her head again and again in gratitude. Only on nights when they had electricity, she would place the laptop on her small desk and open a free English learning website. Her notebook filled with clumsy, block letters. I, you, me. With a trembling hand, she typed a short sentence onto the screen in broken English. "I do not want to end here." Her mother watched her, the mending needle in her hand, never pausing. "It's your freedom to dream," Elena said quietly. "But I'm afraid of seeing you get hurt later on." Her voice was a mixture of resignation and a small, unspoken prayer. As the snow fell silently outside, another new English word was added to Anna's notebook. The winter mornings were still dark when Anna left the house, her breath a white cloud in front of her. Each step on the frozen ground made a small, sharp crunch. When she reached the back door of the diner, only the faint light from the kitchen was on, illuminating the mountain of unwashed dishes waiting silently for her. "Good morning, Anna." Sophia, the older cook, would greet her. "Your fingers are split open again, aren't they?" Anna would smile. "It's all right. I'm just grateful for the hot water." By the end of the lunch rush, just before the preparations for dinner began, her fingertips would be almost completely numb. Even so, on the walk home, her steps felt inexplicably light. Her English notebook was waiting for her. That was the thought that sustained her through the day. But that night, the house was dark. The electricity had been cut off for late payment. Her mother, wrapped in a blanket, sighed. They cut it off again. "We're almost out of firewood, too, and no money to buy more. Are you still going to sit at that desk?" Anna lit a single candle and said quietly, "I can study even in the dark. Besides, I'm afraid if I stop learning English, I'll have nothing left at all." Elena swallowed the words she wanted to say. Her voice trembled slightly as she continued, "Even if you study, you can never leave this village. Face reality, Anna. Bread is more important than dreams. Anna was silent for a moment, her eyes downcast. Then, she looked at the candle flame and spoke slowly. Mama, don't you want to know, too? About the world outside this village? The world Papa wanted to see. Her mother looked up, startled. She wanted to argue, but her lips trembled and no words came out. Don't say such things, was all she could manage. Anna offered a small, gentle smile and opened her notebook. She gripped her pencil, ignoring the sting in her cracked fingertips, and the page began to fill with clumsy English sentences. Every day I work, but I will not end here. Her mother, her back to Anna, stared at the faint glow of the stove's embers. Go to sleep before you catch a cold, she murmured. You can study later. Her voice held no anger, no resignation, but the faint prayer of a mother. Only the sound of falling snow gently patting the roof broke the silence. On Anna's desk, the single candle flame burned, small but steady, an unwavering light in the darkness. On a night when winter had not yet released its grip, Anna sat before the old, hand-me-down laptop. They had electricity, but no heat, and each breath she took formed a white mist. Still, the glow of the screen lit up her eyes. Learning English alone had its limits. Was her pronunciation correct? Was she using the right words? There was no one to ask. It was then that she stumbled upon a language exchange platform, a site where people from all over the world could teach each other their native languages. She took a deep breath and, using her shaky English, wrote a profile. I live in Moldova. I want to learn English. I want to make friends. For the first few days, there were no replies. But she didn't give up. She kept logging in. Then one evening, a video message appeared. Hello, I'm Liam, from Chicago in the USA. Anna, you are working so hard on your English. The moment she read those words, her heart gave a jolt. It felt like, for the very first time, someone had truly seen her effort. From then on, they began to have a conversation once a week through the computer. Liam was kind and patient. He never laughed at her mistakes. When she stumbled over a word, he would slowly guide her to the correct pronunciation. How are you? Open your mouth a little wider. That's it. Pause there. You're doing great. On her side of the screen, Anna would blush and repeat the phrases, her voice filled with determination. Her mother watched her daughter, a worried frown on her face. You're not being tricked by some man you don't know, are you? She asked. Anna shook her head. It's okay, Mama. He hasn't asked for money or anything. He just tells me to keep trying. Sometimes, Liam would even greet her mother through the screen. Good evening, ma'am. It's still cold there. I hope your family is staying healthy. Elena, though bewildered, would give a small, hesitant wave at the screen. That night, Anna wrote new words in her notebook. It's okay. Trust. Friend. In the glow of the computer screen, those 3 words seemed to shine. In a small, cold house, a voice from a distant, unseen country was reaching her, clear and true. 2 years passed. Seasons changed. In the spring, she walked on muddy paths. In the summer, her hands, slick with sweat, struggled to grip the wet dishes. In the fall, her cracked fingertips would bleed. In the winter, she washed dishes in a kitchen where her breath turned to frost. But every night, Anna would open the old laptop and listen to recordings of English conversations, repeating them until her own voice was hoarse. Sometimes, exhaustion would win, and she would fall asleep with her head on her desk. In the morning, she would sometimes find a blanket draped over her shoulders. Her mother must have placed it there, in the quiet of the night. There was no scolding, no praise, just a silent figure watching over her. Her weekly English conversations with Liam had become a cherished routine. One evening, he said, Anna, your pronunciation today was almost perfect. That night, Anna laughed and cried at the same time. Her mother saw her daughter's smile and just let out a soft sigh. Then an opportunity arrived out of nowhere. A long message from Liam appeared on her screen. The news was unbelievable. An American company with a branch in Moldova was looking for someone who could speak both Russian and English. It's a very rare opening, he wrote. I thought of you first. Do you want to try applying? Her heart hammered against her ribs, but a wave of fear washed over her. If I fail, people will laugh at me. My English is still so clumsy. And someone like me weighed down by this anxiety, Anna sat at her desk late into the night, unable to move. The next morning, she gathered her courage and spoke to her mother. I want to try, she said. I'm scared, but if I run away from this, I know I will regret it for the rest of my life. Her mother was silent for a long time, her gaze fixed on the fire in the stove. After a while, she spoke, her voice rough. If you go, you might get hurt. Even knowing that, you still want to go. Anna nodded.
Yes.
I'm scared, but even if I'm scared, I want to try. Her mother turned her face away. Do as you wish, she said softly. But if you come back crying, I will be here to hold you. On the day of the interview, sitting in front of the old laptop screen, facing the interviewers from America, Anna's voice trembled. They asked, "Why did you learn English?" She took a breath. I felt like I had found a place to survive, she said, her own words surprising her. I felt that behind the words, there was hope. One of the interviewers smiled gently. Your English, he said, is spoken from the heart. A few days later, an envelope arrived. Inside, a letter. The word hired was printed in bold, along with a starting salary that made her hands shake. Anna silently placed it in front of her mother. Elena traced the letters with a trembling finger, her eyes welling up with tears. My daughter, she whispered, you really did it. That night, the fire in the stove made a small, crackling sound. It was the sound of two lives quietly changing course. On her first day of work at the American company's Moldova branch, the sun had not yet fully risen. Anna pushed open the heavy glass door with a trembling hand. As she stepped into the office, a group of employees in crisp suits turned and greeted her in unison. Good morning. The coordinated, professional sound startled her, and she froze in her tracks. An older female colleague standing nearby chuckled softly. Greeting people is part of the job here, too, she explained kindly. At the end of the morning, she heard another unfamiliar phrase. Have a good one. People who should have been tired were smiling as they said it to one another on their way to lunch. Anna asked an American colleague why people smiled when they were obviously tired. The man thought for a moment. I guess it's a signal, he replied. A way of saying, we worked hard together. The phrase carried a warmth, a strange and wonderful feeling of shared effort. A few days later, she faced her first major task. She was to serve as an interpreter for a joint meeting between the American and Moldovan teams. Standing in front of so many important people for the first time, her throat felt dry as dust. Midway through the meeting, the lead American executive explained something quickly, using a series of idioms she didn't know. For a split second, Anna couldn't find the words. She fell silent. The atmosphere in the conference room seemed to cool instantly. She managed to force out a translation, but her voice was shaking. After the meeting, her supervisor, Mr. Davies, quietly called her over. Anna, he began. She braced herself for a reprimand, her shoulders tensing. But Mr. Davies continued, his gaze gentle. Interpreters are not people who don't make mistakes. They are people who convey with heart. Don't forget that. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just use the English you've learned with everything you have. Hearing those words, a warmth spread through her chest, so powerful she had to lower her head to hide her brimming eyes. That night, in the dim light of her room, Anna sent an email to Liam. Liam, I almost failed at work for the first time today. I wanted to run away, but my boss didn't scold me. He told me to just speak from the heart. I'm still scared, but I don't want to stop here. Please keep watching over me for a little while longer, until the day I can stand tall and say in English, I did it. As she sent the email, the pre-dawn light was beginning to spread silently outside her window. It was a light that softly declared the end of a long winter and the beginning of a tender, new hope. A year after she started as an interpreter, Mr. Davies called her into his office at the end of the workday. Anna, he said, I've been talking to the head office in Chicago about you. I told them everything about your hard work, your character, all of it.
And
The HR department in Chicago said they want to meet you. They asked if you would be willing to come to the head office for a training program. The sudden news left her speechless. Her chest felt hot, but her fingertips were cold and trembling. Mr. Davies continued, "It's natural to be hesitant, but you've already put in enough effort to be proud of. So, please, have some confidence in yourself." That night, when she got home, her mother was in the kitchen, stirring a pot of soup. Anna took a deep breath and said in a shaky voice, "Mama, they've asked me to go to America.
I'm scared, but
I want to go." Her mother stopped stirring. For a moment, the only sound in the room was the crackling of the fire. Then, she spoke quietly.
go.
"Of course, I'll be lonely. But I didn't raise you to keep you locked in this village. If it's a path you've chosen for yourself, then walk it with your head held high." Tears threatened to spill from her eyes, but she forced a smile. "Thank you." On the morning of her departure, she and her mother walked side by side along the frozen road. Her mother's hand felt warm in hers. As the bus approached, Elena gave her a final piece of advice. "If things get too hard, you can come home. But if you come back because you ran away, you will live with regret." With that, she gave Anna a gentle push toward the bus door. Anna took a deep breath. "I'm going now," she said. The moment she landed at Chicago O'Hare International Airport, her world changed. The floors gleamed under bright lights, people moved in orderly lines, and staff members offered gentle smiles and a polite welcome. Before she even felt the coldness of a foreign place, she felt its quiet kindness. At the arrival's gate, a familiar face was waving. It was Liam, the friend she had made through a language platform, the one who had supported her from so far away. "You made it," he said, his smile warm and genuine. "I'm so glad. Let me show you the way." They took the L train from the airport. The train car was surprisingly quiet. No one was shouting or talking loudly on their phones. Liam smiled. In Chicago, keeping quiet like this is also a kind of consideration. It means not disturbing other people's time. That night, at her temporary dormitory desk, she wrote an email to her mother. "Mama, this is a faraway country, but the hearts of the people and the city are not cold. I still can't speak fluently, but there are people here who see me as an individual. I'm a little scared, but it's okay. I am standing on my own 2 feet now." Outside her window, the lights of the unfamiliar city twinkled silently. For Anna, it was the dawn of a new life. A week into her training program in Chicago, she was caught in the rush hour crowd at a downtown L station when she noticed something strange. Her bag was gone. The crossbody bag that had been slung over her shoulder. The one containing her wallet, her passport, her Visa card, and even her important training documents, had vanished. The blood drained from her face. Her feet felt as if they were nailed to the floor. Liam saw the look on her face and immediately rushed to her side. "Stay calm," he said, his voice firm but gentle. "We'll go to the police station. It's going to be okay. You're not alone." When they entered the police precinct, an officer guided her to a chair and even brought her a cup of hot coffee. "My money, my passport, everything is gone," she told the officer, her voice trembling. The officer nodded, his expression serious and attentive. "That's a lot of important things," he said calmly. "It's okay. We'll go through it step by step. Please don't worry. We will do everything we can to find it." She had expected to be scolded for her carelessness, but hearing his reassuring words, something hard inside her broke. Tears streamed down her face. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "It was all my fault." The officer offered a kind smile. "When someone is in trouble, it's natural for people to help each other," he said. That simple sentence warmed her from the inside out. Liam quietly handed her a handkerchief. "Go ahead and cry," he whispered. "But for now, let's trust the police to handle this." 3 days later, the precinct called. Her bag had been found. The cash, passport, visa, nothing was missing. The person who found it hadn't left a name, only saying they'd spotted it at the station before disappearing back into the city. When she stepped outside with her bag safely in her hands, the sky was painted in the soft colors of twilight. Anna whispered to herself, "Why is this country so kind?" The email she sent to her mother that night read, "Mama, America is a quiet country, but it's not a cold silence. It's a kindness that quietly reaches out to help people in need. I want to become that kind of person, too." From that day on, America was no longer just a distant country. It became a place she wanted to return to. As her training in Chicago was nearing its end, Liam said to her quietly, "Anna, if you ever want to live in America for good, just let me know. Someone is waiting for you." His words sent a jolt of warmth through her, but at the same time, the guilt of leaving her mother alone in their old home settled heavily in her heart. Back in Moldova, the familiar landscape of her village unfolded before her. But her own heart was different. At dinner, she asked her mother, "If I said I wanted to live in America, would you be sad?" Elena didn't look surprised. She quietly set down her fork. "Would I not be sad? Of course. I will be lonely. But—" She paused, choosing her words carefully. "If you are abroad, standing on your own 2 feet, becoming someone that other people can rely on for a mother, that is a source of pride. And pride is stronger and deeper than loneliness. To be proud of my daughter, that makes me a happy woman." A profound warmth spread through Anna's heart. Her voice trembled as she said, "But it feels like I'm the only one who gets to be happy." Her mother shook her head and smiled. "That's not true. Seeing you challenge yourself, seeing you forge your own path with your own strength for a parent, that is happiness." That night, sitting at her desk, she quietly typed onto the screen, "I am not lost anymore. I will choose my own path." The words on the screen no longer looked like fear, but like a firm, unshakable resolve. Once she made the decision to return to America, she felt a quiet sense of peace settle within her. Through Liam's recommendation, she applied for a full-time interpreter position at the Chicago head office. The official offer of employment arrived at the beginning of spring. She handed the envelope to her mother. Elena was silent for a moment, her hand resting on the paper. Then she said, "Go. There's no need to hesitate anymore. Go and live your own life." On the day she left, a wind that was slightly warmer than before blew through the village. Before she boarded the bus, her mother smiled.
Eat well.
"And if you feel like crying, just call me. That's what will keep me going." Anna, laughing through her tears, replied, "I'm going now," and waved goodbye. Landing at O'Hare International Airport for the second time, the view felt less like a foreign country and more like a familiar place. As she walked through the gate, Liam was there, waving. "Welcome back," he said. Those 2 words warmed her to her core. Her new life was filled with small surprises. Signing a lease on an apartment, buying soy sauce and bagels at the supermarket, the quiet order of people waiting in line on the train platform. At the office, the daily chorus of "good morning" and "take care," the atmosphere of mutual support rather than competition, this all became the natural rhythm of her life. One evening, reading an email from her mother in her small studio apartment, she suddenly thought, "This is no longer a country I dreamed of. This is a place where I can cry and laugh and work and feel needed by someone. America is becoming my second home." She spoke the words aloud in the quiet room, and her heart filled with an incredible warmth. The American company where Anna worked had an international employee support department at its head office. Liam was a member of that team, responsible for the training and well-being of staff from their global branches. Ever since Anna had been hired as an interpreter in Moldova, Liam had supported and encouraged her through regular online meetings and emails. He was her first friend in America, the person who best understood her journey. So when Anna first came to Chicago for training, it was only natural for him to meet her at the airport and support her during her stay. They weren't lovers then, but trusted companions. By the time she had been living in America for 3 years, their friendship had deepened into something more. One spring day, Liam handed her a small box. Inside was a simple, delicate ring. Anna, he said, his voice soft. From now on, let's be in the same country and walk through the same life together. Will you marry me? Surprise and tears left her speechless. She could only nod silently. Liam bowed his head deeply and said just one word. Thank you. When she called her mother with the news, Elena was silent for a long time. Then she whispered, You're marrying so far away. But if he is the person you have chosen, then I will trust him. She said it with a smile in her voice. A few months later, they invited Elena to Chicago for a small wedding ceremony. Seeing Anna in a simple white dress, her mother's eyes glistened with tears. You were guided to such a beautiful place, she murmured, taking in the scent of fresh flowers, the sound of soft music, the sight of people quietly smiling. Elena sat beside Liam's parents, bowing her head again and again. Thank you, she kept saying. Please take care of my daughter. And just like that, two families from opposite ends of the world quietly became one. 5 years have passed since Anna came to America. 2 years since she married Liam. They now have a son, Noah. He is 2 years old, and though he still babbles, he can say one phrase with perfect clarity, Mama home. He is her greatest treasure. In the morning, as the steam from the kettle rises in the kitchen, Anna puts a small backpack on Noah's shoulders. Then she puts him in the seat on her bicycle and rides him to daycare. The winter air in Chicago is crisp and cold, but her heart feels impossibly warm. At the daycare gate, she says, Be good, and Noah, his nose red from the cold, waves his small hand and says, Bye-bye, Mama. She still works as an interpreter, though now on a reduced schedule that ends in the late afternoon. Every day is a race against the clock to make it back in time to pick Noah up. Even so, she sometimes finds it hard to believe that the dream she once had, living in America, has become her reality. After work, she picks Noah up from daycare. His teacher tells her, Noah read a lot of picture books today. Noah grips Anna's coat with his small hand, and just that simple warmth melts away all her fatigue. At night, after Noah is asleep, she looks at her phone and sees a message from her mother in Moldova.
How are you?
Are you smiling from your heart? It doesn't matter that you are far away. As long as you are smiling, that is enough to make me happy. The screen blurs. Anna closes her eyes, overcome with emotion. Her mother, who had once tried to stop her from learning English, was now her greatest supporter. What changed her life wasn't the English language itself, but the warmth of the people who believed in her and supported her along the way. If you, listening to this right now, are afraid to start something new, I would tell you this. The day you decide to begin is the youngest day of your life. A small voice calls from the other room. Mama, I love you. That sound, today and every day, lights a fire in this small home. It is the sound of the new home Anna chose for herself. A single word can change a life. If the story of this woman who believed in that possibility has touched your heart, even just a little, I would be very happy.